I've had a few fan theories from some friends on how they think the story's going to end. One of them's depiction is that, hey guys, and welcome back to Fortune Theory for another main episode. So we're going to kind of go back to our original roots just for a few weeks, just due to the fact that it's not really much new coming out on our weekend days anymore, because we've hit the September mark. We've had our first week. Any new releases that mark the end of the school holidays, summer holidays, have all come out, like Shang-Chi last week. And there's not really much else to like discuss.
There's
really,
nothing. There's nothing
anything
really
that clearly
huge
we're not going
that's
to
coming out at all.
Yeah.
Until No Time to Die, which today's subject is basically
we're choosing to be today's
Daniel
subject
Craig.
/ the whole just Daniel Craig like preceding 4-film saga, including this installment. Depending on how you depict James Bond. That's something to put in the comments if you actually do want to comment for a change, or just say something on any of our social medias or to our personal selves if you're fans. James Bond, is it all 25 films canon, and are they all canon to each other? Are they or are they all reboots based off actors? I want to say that it's just actor per series and reboot.
I don't even know if a canon exists for Bond, to be honest.
Well, it wasn't until Spectre that it just didn't feel very, none of the, like, Quantum of Solace, Casino Royale, like Skyfall, they didn't really feel very canon to each other. And it wasn't until Spectre that I started to see, they're making references to Quantum of Solace.
Well, they have all been referenced.
Like, they're making direct, full-on, memorable scenes and memorable references.
Technically,
to previous stories.
Yeah, every single Daniel Craig Bond film was referenced in Spectre, because Blofeld's like final like base showed like showed Le Chiffre, which was Mads Mikkelsen's character in Casino Royale we talked about before, which is probably my favorite Daniel Craig film so far, purely based off
Spectre?
No, Casino Royale.
Oh.
But yeah, it was referenced. Spectre basically referenced every Daniel Craig Bond villain and like the build up to it, and because it had like when it was running through the completely like destroyed old MI5 building, there was like all of the faces of the villains. Like, remember at the end before it's about
that's like the main main bit of canon, I think, like regarding references. Oh, and Mr. White as well. So I'm assuming he was, because didn't he say? I remember he was in the car in London, and he said that he was relevant to the Quantum of Solace mission. He used I
think so, yeah. Although he wasn't a main villain, though, technically. He was a sort of he was basically an anti-hero that became a villain in some sense. Although he did help in Casino Royale.
Wasn't he a villain in Quantum of Solace?
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, I can't remember. It's my least favorite Quantum of Solace, but I did watch it a couple of times. Yeah, I think he was the main villain. I might be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong.
I think Casino Royale was at the time of its release, like kind of my favorite, but like as it's gone up, I think Skyfall is definitely like the most favorite I have at the moment. I do like Spectre in terms of characters and character development and stories and whatnot. But I think my opinion's too based off external validation for that one. So I'm like, I don't know. I know a lot of people don't like it, so I'm kind of like, should I like it? Do I naturally like it myself?
Yeah.
I'm a bit in the middle, but I think if I had to go by my pure opinion, without worrying about what anyone else thinks, I'd probably say that I'm somewhere in between. Skyfall and Spectre is my favorite. But this one though, new one, No Time to Die, based on its trailer, is definitely almost like fan service regarding canon to preceding installments, because they're referencing so much from Spectre in this one. And then obviously with the connections from Spectre, you've got the connections to the first 3 films, which I'm guessing they'll probably somehow go back on again like they did in Spectre. Again, knowing that Spectre wasn't very good in many people's eyes, I'm hoping that they do justice just right with this one. I've had a few fan theories from some friends on how they think the story's going to end. One of them's depiction is that Daniel Craig's James Bond will die at the end of the story, and I can't remember the actress. In the trailer, she says she'll shoot a bullet in his knee. She's meant to be like they even say it in the trailer. She's the new 00. She's the new because James Bond technically retired at the end of Spectre, so she's now like the new 007.
Yeah, pretty much.
And apparently, don't kill me for the fact that I'm using the term apparently. James Bond isn't his actual name. It's what the agency's like name that they gave him, along with like the the signature of 007, like kind of like that's your agent title on the field.
Yeah.
But James Bond is
that
your
would be
like
an interesting like
fake
twist
first and last name identity.
That to, be revealed that like, and so Richard Palmer. I think that's an actual person's name. That's why I thought of a random name. But like, so Richard.
Palmer.
I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough.
Just, I think that's an actual person's name. I can't remember what I think of it, but
just a random moment in like a new trailer I do one day. You're just saying Richard Palmer and has no context to anything. No.
But that'd be interesting.
Yeah, it just feels like this one really like I can't even remember what I was saying now because you got me off tangent. But yeah, like
well, his name revealed to not that not to be his real legal name.
Yeah, so technically, like they could give any new character like the name James Bond, which I'm like that could have been like if you consider all the previous stories canon,
allow
then all those actors.
That would make sense of the whole idea of each Bond not being like, well, it's a new Bond. How do you make sense of that? Because if James Bond is the name that they give to that agent, no matter who it is,
and then he just ends up having to be in luck because he's that character at the time, but actually he's just a regular bloke within the agency who's just really good at his job.
Exactly.
And so that's just the way it is. Well, that's interesting. Because it's the whole idea that yes, they're trying to bring in diversity now. And I think like he'll die at the end of the story, as in Daniel Craig's incarnation, if that's how they're doing it. And she'll be the new 007. Yeah. And then whatever her name is. And it will like that's how they'll continue it. But if they are doing it by the whole James Bond's not his actual technical biological name, I don't know, because Skyfall and Spectre kind of covered it as like they were brothers and they grew up together. So I don't know if he always had that name.
Like, unless the MI5 goes so deep into personal family to cover up and everything, that would make sense because like I said, Skyfall did answer questions. Skyfall was a very good origin story for Bond.
Well, origin story, like just going into his past a bit more.
Yeah, origin story for this reincarnation of this incarnation.
Not many of the films have done that.
No, that's why Skyfall really stood out. It was a very different Bond. Because typically it was Bond. Like it wasn't actually Bond. It was made by people that weren't necessarily big Bond fans. Skyfall, so the actual story was able to be a lot different. That's why I love Casino Royale and Skyfall, because although they're quite different, Skyfall is like that typical, almost like going back in history, like origin story almost kind of thing. Whereas Casino Royale is a typical like Ian Fleming, literally based on the original novel. That's why it's so good. I just love it. It's like typical Bond in the casino, but.
I do kind of feel a bit like though towards the you might hate me for this comment, but the average fan, it's like they've heard of James Bond, but it's like when it comes to films, they're only as familiar with Skyfall as a plastic football fan is with Wayne Rooney. If that makes sense, because that's literally that's their go-to about it. Like they just know, or Formula One with Lewis Hamilton. Just the memorable name, the memorable like,
Fucking don't stop.
So like the way they could end 5 is that they get, well, I call it 5, but No Time to Die. It's the fifth Craig film, so 5. He'll die, and this is one of my mates' fan theories. He'll die. She'll become the new 007. That's how they bring gender diversity to it. Then they'll do a spin-off, either TV show or film series focusing on her character as the new. They're
not doing a series. That's
if
already
they go
confirmed.
by passing, it's either a film or a TV show.
It'll most likely be
or whatever film. She'll be the new 007.
Yeah.
And she'll go by like Jamie Bond or something like that if they do that whole name, giving her the identity, that name identity thing. And that's how they'll continue it. Or she'll just go by whatever name she goes by in this story, as well as the 00 title. And, it will just follow her. And it'll be like watching a gender swap James Bond film, which again is different.
The only argument against the whole like being Bond,
because apparently you could get away with it because in the books they didn't specify gender. So it could have been either. The only reason they made it male in the films for definite is because it sounded mostly like a bloke that was being described.
Yeah.
Because that's the only reason why.
The only criticism I have against the whole
they never did pronouns
Bond,
in the books.
The only criticism I'd say about Bond being like Skyfall does sort of disregard Skyfall if the name is just the alias for the whoever is that agent, because Skyfall kind of does answer that about who James Bond is, at least Daniel Craig's version. So we kind of disregard that unless they give a reasoning as to like maybe M knew all along, maybe that it was like a big cover up and they he wasn't hit the orphan.
What, the Judi Dench M or the Ralph Fiennes M?
The Judi Dench M that became Ralph Fiennes. Like we find out that M that was Judi Dench's M like was covering up, and maybe you fucking serious. But yeah, like because if Skyfall with M both Ralph Fiennes' M and Judi Dench's M, if Bond is the only way that the whole alias of James Bond being like revealed that it's just the alias for that agent would sorry, I just saw your thing.
Give me 24 hours.
For fuck's sake.
I love how relevant that is. Sorry.
But yeah, it would only work if they explain why Skyfall still makes sense, and maybe it was like a cover up, and his name, like Tombstones, they used that name for when Skyfall did happen. The events of Skyfall did happen. That it'll be a lot of work basically if the alias is just given to the agent and the end name, but anything's possible, I guess. They could go that route. It would make sense in terms of the gender swapping and that whole route, because it's just like, and every Bond being different, because like when another one dies, they bring a new agent forward and they give him the same name. But the whole like, to answer the questions of Skyfall, when you have issues, then you'd have to go down the route of, well, actually, it was a cover up. His parents that adopted him, he was an orphan. Like they weren't obviously his real parents, and he was given that name by, like, MI5. And it was just put on his like fake parents. They weren't their real names or something. His parents as an orphan weren't their real name, but I don't know. Be an interesting route to go down. Or at least it would allow them.
Well, the thing is that he can't like retire again because he kind of already has. But in this story, he's just like he's not even a member of like MI5. Well, they go by MI6 in media terminology for the agency for some fucking reason, even though we know what it is by name.
Yeah, hold on. Which MI service are they? I always get it confused because
they're MI6.
They're MI6 because which MI service is real?
MI5.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is the thing. I don't know why. No, it's because in real life there's MI5.
MI5 in real life.
I read somewhere ages ago that they're not allowed to use that term when they're describing it in film.
Right.
And I'm guessing that's in case for whatever reason they got to load up a file and get an insignia, and they don't want like technology to confuse itself with like looking at the actual location or some shit. You've still got your Tango Ice Blast when we saw a fucking it's just water cup now. Brilliant. Sorry. Yeah. I could do with one of them now.
Anyway, off topic. Rambling.
Yeah. What was I saying?
About the name? Oh no, MI5, MI6. Yeah.
Yeah, so MI5, they're not allowed to film companies aren't allowed to use that title word for word.
No.
When they're defining the service.
Right.
So they usually go for the cliche of a lot of films go with it as MI6. There's one or two that go with it as MI7. I don't know if Mission Impossible does that, or if I'm just getting confused with a title for one of their films. But I know one of them does like MI7, and then the rest do MI6.
Right.
As like a title for it. I think James Bond strongly does MI6 as its title. That's what they kind of have to go by, which is annoying because it's not real. But then I suppose you could say that about the fiction of the James Bond series anyway. Unless you're a true believer. Because the thing is, this is the sort of film that a lot of people that hate fiction would love, just because of like not only the actors but just like the history and the nostalgia of James Bond. Like this one has probably got the most hype, and obviously due to the COVID delay, as well as just the fact that it's a James Bond movie and
literally like over a year in the making, since release.
It's the last one presently, and it's the last one that Daniel Craig's going to be in, and we've had to wait a bit longer than expected. And it's like almost a fan service film with the references to canon. From everything from Spectre and precedingly, I suppose. So but they can't retire him again because he's not in the service anymore as of the end of Spectre. So the only real route that you can go with him is to like kill him off, really, or just
because he's already retired, isn't he?
To make for a good ending anyway. That's kind of because he's not really involved in the agency anymore. Like he's kind of just a free spirit in this story. He's like the sort of guy you'd visit when you're on a mission. Like, in all of his films, like he's gone and he's met people that like end up becoming the girl, the partner, the second main character in the film. She's not like in any sort of spy agency or anything like that, but she ends up like being the assist in the defeat. Before then she gets killed off at the beginning of the next story, and then like before the beginning of the next story, and then he meets someone new, because that never sticks. But things change this time. At the end of Spectre, and now he's got like a specific person.
Who knows where it could go.
Yeah,
really.
like he quit the system, and now he's not working for them anymore. So, like he's kind of just a free. He is just pretty much like almost like a vigilante now, but because he knows how MI6 work. Like he knows about the gadgets, he knows the codes, he knows the protocols. He has the skills, the field skills. Like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So
who knows where it could go really, because there's so many theories to
it. They either rehire him and then he retires again at the end of the story, but this time he retires for good, or he retires as in dies. Death makes the most sense, sadly. But with the acknowledgement being that we won't get another James Bond film after it, or if we do, it'll be in good taste. And annoyingly, they're also, I say annoyingly in the perspective of people that I know would get annoyed about this. And it's the idea that, yes, it will be that female actress who takes up the name Jamie Bond as the new 007. And it's just, everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, but James Bond, it's James Bond, not James Blonde. It's a male.
Yeah, exactly.
Not saying men can't have blonde hair. It's, I don't know why I got that confused. It's like, it's a male character, not a female character, all that sort of stuff. But, I don't mind the concept, like a gender swap concept of James Bond, where like she's going on missions and she's dating all like the, sort of the badass guys.
Could switch.
The men in merciless situations, or whatever you want to, damsel in distress, but man, whatever, like manzel in distress or something. I don't know what the expression would be if you swapped it, but that kind of example
could go that route. And we'll find out in No Time to Die. So on that note, let us know your thoughts.
And the film comes out in the UK on the 30th of September. It's going to be the biggest film this year in the eyes of a lot of people. A lot of people have been anticipating for it. My work, we've had customers coming in since June, July, asking if they can buy or pre-book tickets, We don't have them available at the moment for sale on our website for those who know where I specifically work, cinema-wise. But we will. I'm sorry, I'm not even that close to the camera or anything. Like, I don't even know how well the audio is picking up, but
It's good enough.
yeah, yeah, they won't be available till about maybe a week prior to release.
Well, it's roughly the next week at the earliest, isn't it? With like a week's time from
it
some
depends,
places.
because our system at our place is so weird. Like, we can't, like, you have to kind of do it starting from the Friday before that week.
Yeah.
It comes out. But I think it comes out on a Friday, so that makes it complicated. It's like you almost can't buy tickets until it actually is out, so you can't pre-order. But
I think for a lot of places it's coming out at like the middle of the month.
Though, the problem is with a film like that, there is a midnight showing. The problem is with a film like that, if you only do pre-orders, you're going to have people coming in who don't know how to pre-order, like old people, for instance, or just don't do it that way, and they'll get upset because they can't see it because it's fully booked.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then, well, customers won't have to worry, but we will. But yeah, that's a story for another day. But,
there we go.
Yeah.
No Time to Die.
James Bond, 007, No Time to Die. One film franchise I can somehow tolerate not having the core like title in the title to establish what film franchise it's a part of. But yet somehow they always manage to pull it off in the logo of the title.
Yeah.
That, you know, No Time to Die. It's
they're really good at that. They manage to make original titles each time. And
like, this is the only film franchise I know that have done anything like that.
Yeah.
Where they don't call the sequel
the name of the character isn't in each
James
thing.
Bond and
it's like, not James Bond No Time to Die, James Bond Skyfall, James Bond Spectre. It's just the name of that film.
I mean, it does bug me, but like the way they go about it,
it's not necessary, is it? Because you kind of each time.
It's like when you look up, when you're like us and you look up information about all this sort of stuff, you look up like, oh, what's the next James Bond film? And it's like, oh, it's going to be titled No Time to Die sort of thing. And it's like, got this. That's when you find out about that. And then you forget the words James Bond or 007. You end up just searching for the title. And then when you see that trailer come out, like that original No Time to Die trailer was like, you could tell that was James Bond.
Yeah.
Like music, Daniel Craig, and it's James Bond.
Because the Bond theme is such it's the brand is so there.
The location of the car definitely do it as well. I think in that like opening shot of that car coming out. I think
it's just the signature Bond car.
Yeah, the car, the color, the music, the location, and then Daniel Craig is the last thing you even need. And to be honest, you don't even need Daniel Craig by that point to know it's going to be his film anyway. Just to know that he's playing it. Yeah.
There we go.
Sequel. Yeah, they got a way of making things work. So.
But yeah, we'll be reviewing. We'll be doing as quickly as we can. We'll be seeing it first thing, and then reviewing it. Hopefully, around the time it comes out for the evening. So we will have spoilers in it, obviously, because we'll have just seen it. But yeah, it might be the first episode of casts. That we do.
Yeah. So I think we've mentioned it before. I don't know if we have. For those who don't know what we're talking about, we're thinking of doing a sort of podcast series in Pat's car. So this will be on the way to and on the way back from viewing the films in cinema, and him picking me up and dropping me home because I still can't drive, sadly. But I never brought up the fact that you got your car fixed in the end. Yeah.
Drivable to half the viewings we can do.
We can now do bulk recordings again, but I think we've just decided against doing it from your setup because it's more unique doing it our way, and also it's just easier.
Until we have a place until there is a setup for it properly. Yeah, we'll probably still do it, but we got to go sell at the moment. No Time to Die. We'll be obviously reviewing.
Of any black. I can't remember the name. There's a deadly spider in my room. I've just seen
a Black Widow.
I want to say Black Widow, but I don't know if it is for sure. It looks like one though, so I might safely dispose of that before I get bitten. Fuck the heat. Let's put it that way.
And on that note,
and
yeah,
on that note,
we'll see you in the.
I'll see you later.
We'll see you later, and we'll see you for more Bond. Obviously, No Time to Die in that breakdown and review and everything like that. On September 31st. I think it's a Thursday night, unless it's a Friday. We'll be doing it then. But obviously, the day it comes out, we'll be doing a review in the UK release. Other than that, like, subscribe, share around, leave your thoughts and comments on theories and everything to do with Daniel Craig's Bond. Who was your favourite Bond as well? And yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Monday. And
it was a grasshopper.
It was a what? Oh. We'll see you Monday, guys. Thanks for watching.
It was a grasshopper. I think it was a grasshopper anyway. It was either grasshopper or mantis.